Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to determine if the given sequence is an arithmetic sequence or a geometric sequence. Before we jump into these examples right here, let's have a definition for arithmetic sequence. An arithmetic sequence is a sequence of numbers such that the difference between the consecutive terms is constant. Usually this difference is represented with a letter D. Now the geometric sequence, on the other hand, is a sequence of number where each term after the first is determined by multiplying the previous term by a fixed number, which we usually call this as multiplier or common ratio. And this is represented by a letter R. So let's take this first example right here. So looking at this, we can say that this 200 is actually multiplied by 1/2. So once we multiply 200 by 1/2, it becomes 100. 100 times 1/2 would become 50. 50 times 1/2 would become 25, which means that this was multiplied by 1/2. It tells us that this sequence that we have here is a geometric sequence. And this 1/2 that we have here is actually our multiplier or the common ratio. So we represent this with letter R. So our R here is 1/2. Now let's move on to this next example right here. As we can see, this from 5, it becomes 12. It was actually added by 7 each time. 12 plus 7 is 19. 19 plus 7 is 26. This tells us that this is an example of an arithmetic sequence. Okay, and this 7 that we have here is our difference, or we represent this as our letter D. Now let's move on to the next one here. As you can see in this problem, from 4 going to 14, it was added with 10, added by 10, and this one right here is added by 5, from 14 to 19 plus 5, and so from 19 to 29, we're adding 10. So the difference is not a constant value. This means that this is not an arithmetic sequence, and this is not a geometric sequence. So we go ahead and say this is neither. Okay, at this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try these 3 problems out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So we start with the first one. As you can see here, from 5 going to 8, it's added by 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8. And then from 8 to 13, it's added by 5. So 8 plus 5 is 13. And then this one right here is added by 8. So we have 13 plus 8 is 21. So then we go ahead and say that this is not an arithmetic sequence and this is not a geometric sequence. So we go ahead and say, and this is neither. Now let's move on to the next one right here. From 3 going to 6 and from 6 going to 12. So then we go ahead and say that this was multiplied by 2 each time. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So then since this was multiplied by 4, which this is a common multiplier, this is an example of a geometric sequence. And our 2 right here is actually called as our multiplier or the common ratio. So this is represented by letter R. Now let's move on to the next one right here. From 8 going to 3, this was actually subtracted by 5. So 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 minus 5 is -2. -2 minus 5 is -7. Since the common difference between these two is -5, we can go ahead and say that this is an arithmetic sequence. Okay, and our -5 here is our common difference, which we will represent this with a letter D. Now, did you get the same answers for all these 3 here? Good. Perfect. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!